Welcome to this video, round 10 action of the candidates, and we have an important game here to look at. Anand, the leader of the tournament with +3 score, playing against Mamedyarov, who is on 50%, which doesn't sound like a big difference, but okay, with a direct win Mamedyarov would come into striking distance, and he certainly has momentum after beating Aronian in the last round with a fine game. So let's see what happens here. Anand playing e4. Yeah, his usual move, but it's also the move that he normally plays, as weird as it sounds, if he wants to play with the draw in hand. And yeah, it's in a way often like that with one e4 you can get better. If you are content with a game of two results, e4 is sometimes a pretty good choice if you know your theory. Okay, a6, the Najdorf, already played before in this tournament by Mamedyarov, and against Topalov he had played this, so Anand could certainly expect the opening. Certainly a very fighting choice, trying to unbalance the game. And of course Anand is playing the new knight of main line h3. Just joking here, but it's the move that they all play here. And again, okay, it has given Vichy a very important victory against Topalov, so why not repeat it? Yeah, Mamedyarov playing e6. He goes he sets up a Scheveningen formation, just like Topalov did, but now plays it a bit differently. Here Topalov had played the voluntary retreat to d7, which isn't terribly bad or anything, but Mamedyarov plays h6 now, which I think makes lots of sense to, for the moment, stop the white pawns. And yeah, white continues to develop. Bishop g2, bishop e3, all logical moves. And now f4. Yeah, the white also could play queen d2 here first. I mean, in general, white certainly wants to move the queen somewhere to d2 or to e2 and then castle long. Then f4 probably later. It's a matter of move order here, I guess. If you play queen d2, I'm not sure that the queen is so well placed there. If you look at a move like that, yeah, you probably need to move again. And here maybe black can even go for g5. This is very often an interesting motif to block f4 for the moment and establish a strong knight on e5. Anyway, queen d2 is not really useful. You can look at queen e2 in comparison. This also was an alternative. Maybe maybe takes and b5, like something like that might be possible. Yeah, I don't know. Many possibilities. Anand played f4, immediately gaining this space in the center. And this is in a way the most ambitious move, certainly. If black now tries to yeah, relieve him some pressure by taking, then you can actually take in one go and then castle long with a good game. Yeah, what is black's move actually here? It's not that easy. You cannot move the b pawn. It's not clear that you want to put the queen here. He played a good move, I believe. He played knight to d7, and this intense, this somewhat disturbing bishop check, and the knight probably has to move away anyway at some stage. So an interesting way to play. Queen d2 now by Anand. Very normal move, of course. I found actually some examples of this position where knight f3 was played. This is an interesting way to play. It covers the h4 square, so that this bishop check now is, of course, entirely pointless. After coming long castles, black is almost busted here. So knight f3 is a prophylactic move against this idea, and white will simply play the queen to one of those squares and castle long. This leads to a very typically unbalanced Sicilian middle games. There was one funny example that I could actually show you, not the complete game, but just a couple of moves. This was played in a game Munguntuul against Humpi Koneru, one of the top female players. Munguntuul is also a female player, if I'm not mistaken. At the time she was only rated 2200 something and Koneru 2600, and white after b4 played knight d5 and got a vicious attack to beat Koneru, overcoming a rating difference of more than 300 points. Quite nice, but that actually happens rather often in the Sicilian, that the better player playing black is losing to an attack. You very often win in the Sicilian as the better player, but you need to accept the occasional loss where the other side is just throwing the kitchen sink at you and mate you. Yeah, well, knight f3 was an interesting alternative, but queen d2 is perfectly alright, of course. Yeah, now the capture and e5, a very direct solution that Mamedyarov, as you can see, basically blitzed out. He had obviously prepared all that. Takes.
Check.
And now the check. Very interesting. Yeah, of course, white cannot play with the king in the center, so bishop f2 must be played. And now knight takes. So we've seen a very quick transformation in this position. Black has managed to play e5, exchanging e for f pawn, and this has led to a very defined structure where black has an excellent piece on e5, really fantastic piece, this knight, and he manages to get off those bishops. So we can put those moves on the board, and even bishop e6. So this is a very instructive type of structure. Black has, as mentioned, a great piece here. He has a nicely anchored bishop on e6. It's always protected by the f7 pawn, cannot be attacked easily. So yeah, is this actually a very good position for black? Yeah, black is certainly fine, but he also has got some deficits in the position, and this is of course the d6 pawn. Very often the d6 pawn, backward pawn in the Sicilian, is not a real problem, because yeah, sometimes you have this supposedly bad bishop on e7, but yeah, bad bishops protect good pawns. This fun figure of speech is true quite often. Here the d6 pawn needs to be covered by heavy pieces, mostly the queen in this first instance, and we see that after queen d4 with the direct attack.
Check.
Black went for long castles to keep the pawn protected. Yeah, rook d8, if you don't want to castle long, you can play, but after queen a4,
check,
it's a bit awkward. What are you doing now? This is something you don't want to see as black, getting you into trouble. Yeah, you probably need to play something what you don't want now, a king move. This is a double attack. Long castles is really the best move, that's pretty clear. Yeah, and this means black always has to watch out for pressure against the pawn, and with the king on the queen side, you of course have some problems with your king position. It is slightly weakened. White can always, at the moment it's not leading to anything, queen a7, just for argument's sake, white can trap their own queen, but it's not helping anything, queen a7. But in general, the king position is slightly weakened, and of course, in this structure, while black has the great square on e5, white also has a good square on d5. The difference is, of course, that the knight on e5 is completely unassailable, but on d5, a knight that might appear there can very often simply be captured, and if white is forced to capture with the e-pawn, this is normally not helping him very much. Okay, it activates the bishop, but it's yeah, it's a good compensation for other deficits, this d5 square. And it's very logical now, the play. I believe bishop f1 makes lots of sense. The bishop on g2 is just looking at the own pawn. And Anand wants the possible, in the distant future, wants to have this sacrificial ideas, or simply regroup the bishop, and we see some of those ideas later. Yeah, queen c5 now by Mamedyarov. He certainly would love a queen trade if you just look at this. If white would trade, which is a serious mistake, then this slight weakness on d6 has now transformed into a healthy c5 pawn, which might even, well, might even support a piece coming to d4. The knight, obviously, the prime candidate for that. This would be very nice. So Anand cannot exchange queen g3 simply. Yeah, they got this repetition in, and Anand certainly is fine with the draw. I mean, he's in such a comfortable position. I actually believe if he manages to draw the rest of the games, he will qualify. I'm very, very sure about that. I mean, how it's simply the only for me the only real scenario is someone beating him and being the guy who catches up with him and have the better tie break. This could have been Kramnik is still playing him, Karjakin is playing him, and Swidler is playing him. Those players, yeah, Topalov theoretically speaking, but he does not have the points really to catch up with Anand after he had lost he had already beaten Topalov. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, well, it's Anand certainly okay with the draw. Let's put it that way. Okay, king b8. Mamedyarov wants to continue, not queen e5 again. But okay, white has useful moves to play. Put the knight there. And now c3. Yeah, this is a very, very safe setup. And white has ideas actually to improve here. If you give white a couple of moves, you can imagine that this bishop, not a very great piece at the moment, might even come, let's say you play the rook somewhere. You can actually put this on the board, it was played. And then maybe intend this regrouping even. If you imagine in this position, just for argument's sake, that light square bishops would be exchanged, then white is having some advantage. It's not like fantastic, but it's great. It would be a great achievement for white to get the exchange going, because then your knight on d5 is also not in any way black cannot ever exchange it or anything, and then white could try to do something actually. So this is an idea, get the light squared bishops exchanged. Rook d1, all very normal moves. Rook d8, yeah, well, still the d pawn. And now bishop d3 was played, initiating the mentioned idea. Yeah, and here Mamedyarov played knight c6, attacking the rook. Rook c4. And now played queen a7 and offered a draw. Okay. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to make of that. I mean, they only can make a draw by agreement after move 30, so this is exactly move 30. And I didn't see the press conference. Would have been interesting to learn what they thought about the position. Maybe Mamedyarov thought he is in slight trouble. I mean, it's possible. He actually would have needed to win it, I think, to have a fair chance to do something in this tournament. But okay, yeah, how to assess the position? It's white's move, and I understand that Anand just accepted the draw. It's not like white has anything substantial. And from a tournament perspective, a draw is perfectly okay. I think probably bishop d2 is white's move. Bishop c2 is white's move to get these ideas in that I mentioned, bishop to b3. Or maybe under the right circumstances, you can also put it on a4. Could be another idea. yeah, I'm not so sure what black should do here. There are some slight problems. I understand that. If you attack the rook again, for example, going back here, let's just and then I don't need to draw here, and then I have those ideas as mentioned. Yeah, maybe black is a bit uncomfortable. It's possible. The computer gives it as completely equal and nothing much happening. But maybe he thought he is in slight trouble. One problem from the black point of view is that the queen does not have any squares. And you can, of course, get this knight off the board if you like. But this obviously would give white lots of scope for the bishop. It could easily be go to f5, possibly to e6, always controlling the c8 square, and then white might even think about a pawn advance if it is rightly timed, advancing with the pawns after some very thorough preparation. However, yeah, maybe he felt uncomfortable, and it's of course Mamedyarov would love to win. Everything's great, but losing also means it's completely over. In the situation now, if you compare both players' score plus 50%, his chances are very slim. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he should have risked more here as black. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But it's not a position really that is anything brilliant for black. Okay, a draw agreed. Everything's still looking great for the former world champion Vishy Anand to get a, yeah, almost you can call it a return match against Magnus Carlsen. And well, this is another game where Anand didn't make any mistakes or whatever. Look at some of the other games. There are real blunders being committed, and Anand hasn't done any of those. All right, thanks for watching.